Welcome to the Fowler Show live. It's August the 6th, 2020. Mark that into your calendars because it's a history-making show here today. And I've always wanted to bring on somebody from the world of Hollywood, from the world of acting. And I've now ticked that off in my checklist here today because we welcome on the first ever actor to come on the show. I mean, you are the history-making guy for coming on the show. The the history-making person making this all possible here today. And of course, this actor has been in many different films over the past few years, and he's in a brand new movie, which apparently, according to the internet, I don't know what to trust. So we can get hopefully the word from my guest today, Good Joe Bell. Meant to come out September this year, starring my guest and Mark Wahlberg in this film. Check it out. Comes out in September. But here's my guest to talk about that. A little bit about that and much more of other films he's been in as well and stuff during lockdown and what else is going on in his life outside of acting. His name is Reid Miller. How are you doing?
Having me.
No, you're welcome. And I wasn't sure there if that was the pronunciation. I've had to do it, so apologies if that was incorrect. But make sure if you have any questions for Reid here today, make sure you do leave a question in the live chat here on YouTube. That's our new way of doing stuff now here because we were going to use the Twitter way, but unfortunately the application I was going to use has now closed. So from now onwards, youtube.com/chat is the place to be to enter any questions you may have. And let's talk then about what inspired you to become an actor. And was it something from school or college or something you just fell in love with and just took the path to become?
I think for me it was like, growing up, I was always sort of the odd one out, and that's just because of where I lived. You know what I mean? Like I spent most of my life growing up in Texas, and the towns I grew up in aren't really revolved around the arts. You know what I mean? It's a lot of football, a lot of sports related activities, which really wasn't my thing. And I think for me, honestly, it was a lot of the films that I watched growing up that inspired me to be an actor. Like it was watching the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movies in theaters, when they came out, because that's when I was like a kid. So like seeing that with my parents and then like seeing the first Iron Man and all of these movies were so impressionable on me because I was so young and I like, that's what I wanted to be. You know what I mean? Like when I would go to the theater to watch that stuff, it was like it was less of just watching a movie and it was more of a that's it. You know what I mean? Like that's where I'm supposed to be doing that. So I would say it was honestly there wasn't necessarily like a massive profound event in my life. It was just seeing those films and seeing like my childhood heroes like from the comic books I used to read on the big screen. I mean, that really I was like, that's what I want to do. You know what I mean? I want to be a part of that. And that's what really, I think, those were the seeds, you know what I mean, that were planted to leading me to becoming an actor.
Yeah. Well, it's an interesting story here. And if you didn't know that now, there you go. You know it here on the Fowler Show. So these iconic movies you saw, you got into acting. So then you went from there, and then, of course, you went to, I'm going to say, again, I'm just going to speculate, again, you can confirm this because you've done it. You went to acting school, learned how to act, and then you got cast in some interesting movies over the past few years, haven't you? And, you've been in Santa Shark, if that's correct, or Santa Jaws, one or the other.
Oh, Santa Jaws,
Good old movie, that. I've seen bits of that movie. Very interesting, have to say. It seemed like a lot of fun. Everyone seemed to enjoy themselves on that film. And I want to know what enticed you to be in that film.
I've actually never been asked that, so I'm actually glad that you're asking.
You get the best questions here on the Fowler Show. We bring on. We bring the best people. We bring the best people,
I love that. So at the time I was at Sundance for a short that I was in a few years ago. I was at Sundance And I got an email from my manager. It was an audition, and it was for Santa Jaws on Sci-Fi. And for me, like my career was still relatively young in a way. Like I was still really like forming my resume. And for me, I didn't do Santa Jaws out of what it could do for my career, but more this just seems like a lot of fun. You know what I mean? Because it's like as an actor, it's it's not up to you necessarily what you get cast in all the time. I mean, until you're like Matt Damon or like Ben Affleck, you know what I mean, where you can pick and choose what you do. For me, it's still in that position of I don't know what I'm gonna do next, but I hope it's for the best and I hope it's the right fit. And so for something like Santa Jaws, it was more like, I had been making all these moves to further my career. I kind of want to do something that is just fun and, not super intense or serious, like something that I can just have a great time with. Because, again, back to growing up, me and my dad, would watch those types of movies all the time. Like, we loved the Godzilla movies, we loved the Jaws movies, we loved all of those sci-fi monster movies, like Killer Croc versus Mega Gator, all that stuff. Like, that was, me and my dad loved that stuff. And so, for me, doing that movie was almost like, childhood fulfillment in a way. Because it was like, I loved these movies as a kid. I don't want to make these types of movies like long term, but I would love to do one.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like just one of these movies that isn't really going to affect my career, but something just a good time that's completely out there. And I knew it was like, some people are going to hate this movie. Some people are going to love it. But honestly, this is just a guilty pleasure for me. You know what I mean? The script is fun. I loved the director. I loved the cast. It was such a great group of people to be around. And I had such a great time making that movie.
Before we move on to my next question about Santa Jaws, Michael's wrote in, I don't know how you pronounce his second name, but I'll just say Michael, shout out ahead to Michael. He said he can't wait for Good Joe Bell. I think we all can't wait for it. It's going to be a cracking movie. Yeah, I bet you're looking forward to see how it turned out as well. And Jamie Hamlet, hello to you. How are you doing on this Thursday evening as well? But, it's going to be a wonderful movie. This might be the one maybe your breakout movie, maybe, of this. I think so. I think it'll be a breakout movie for you. And hopefully more people will be ringing your agent saying, I want to cast you in it. So... I want to see that. So I hope it happens for you after this movie is coming out in September. But back on topic, back onto that movie. What was your favorite scene in that movie? If you can remember back far there on good old Sci-Fi.
Santa Jaws. What was my favorite scene?
Santa Jaws. I think you say before the correction. I don't know why I keep calling it Santa Shark for some reason. I don't know why. Same thing.
Honestly, same thing. But I would say my favorite scene is, for those of you who've seen it, I mean, my favorite scene would be, or at least my favorite scene to film was the final confrontation with the shark, with the family. Like, it was me, Arthur, who plays my brother, and just, it was like all the family was there. We had this really funny, like, prop that was like a catapult. And it would shoot turkeys into the water to lure the shark. And I had like a crossbow. I mean, it was so much fun and like absolutely absurd. And I mean, I would definitely think that's my favorite scene, just because it was just like everyone was just having a good time. And it was like I don't know, it just felt like, it felt like you were a kid on the playground with your friends, like during recess. You know what I mean? Like we were just playing, and that was, I think that's something. One of the biggest aspects of acting that I love is when you can do a project and just play with the material and like really find it in the moment. You know what I mean? Like it was just such a good time.
Well, I'm glad you had fun in that movie, and again, I think it was one of the good films on Sci-Fi. I have to say, because
for sure, one of the better ones for sure. I definitely
what was the
think.
feedback like when that aired on Sci-Fi in the US? Because it's different, of course. I don't want to confuse people. The two Sci-Fis, one here in the UK, one in the US. But when it came out on Sci-Fi in the US, what was the feedback like? Did you get a lot of people tagging you and tweeting you about your appearance on in the movie?
It's, of course, like I sort of expect. Well, okay. I didn't expect the overall consensus to be actually extremely positive. Okay. Now, when I say that, that doesn't mean that I thought it was going to be bad. But for me, it's like, it's a fun sci-fi shark movie, and I knew that there were going to be people that took it too seriously. But luckily, a lot of people who watched it, like if I go look at, like I've gone back and like read reviews and like watched people talk about it on YouTube, for example, 9 times out of 10, they loved it. Like they knew exactly what it was. They knew exactly what to expect. And it's just Home Alone with a shark. You know what I mean? And it's like, if you go into a movie called Santa Jaws and you're taking it too seriously, I think that's your own fault. You know what I mean? Like it's meant to be. It's meant for you to just sit there and watch it and enjoy it for what it is. And I think there are some types of people who, are expecting, like a Christopher Nolan directed shark movie when it's like it's a fun sci-fi movie. It's about a shark killing a bunch of people that I accidentally created with a magic pen. I mean, it's, you know what I mean? Like it's meant to be fun. It's meant to be absurd. And I'm very happy that most of the people who watched it got that right away. You know what I mean?
Yeah, sorry for my delay there. So I just received an email from somebody regarding somebody. I don't know, maybe announced him, but I just read that email. So my apologies. I was listening to what you're saying. So I don't think to the people watching here thinking this guy is not even listening to ignoring you. But yeah, it's well. I'm glad you got the opposite feedback than what you were expecting out of the movie, because as you say, it was a good movie. I enjoyed it from the bits I've seen, and I'm sure if you've not seen it, where have you been? Come on, get with the program.
Go watch it. Get out from under your rock and go watch Santa Jaws.
Yes. We've got a question coming in. Please leave your comments. If you got a question for myself or Reid, leave them in the live chat box, and I will ask them to Reid as we are speaking here. We've got a question coming in from Lily Lee, who says, "Do you have any story with Mark Wahlberg?"
One thing I know I'm allowed to say, because it's on the IMDb, so you can go look, and I've talked about this openly before. When I got the role, I was actually at his house. So, the last few meetings had been with Mark and the director personally, of course. It's a very important project, and they really, really, really wanted to make sure that they, were getting the right people for it. And I had come in for my last meeting, and it was really funny because my mom was out of town, so I had my manager come with me just because it was an extremely not stressful, but the pressure was on, and I didn't really want to go by myself. I was pretty nervous, so she just came with me as like moral support. And we walked into his house, and they led me downstairs, and they fed me chocolate chip pancakes. And my manager will always say that the moment they fed me chocolate chip pancakes, she knew that I got the role. But I didn't. I was still petrified because I still had to do another read. So it was like, it was one of those things where I was like reading too much into it, because you hear stories about how you walk into an audition and they'll give you like a bottle of water, and if you don't drink the water, it shows you're nervous and you don't get the job. Which, I mean, I've never really had that experience, but I mean, I guess it could happen, but that's what I thought was happening. So you better believe I ate every single pancake on that plate. and I'm such a small dude. I mean, man, when I tell you, I thought I was gonna burst. I was like, oh god. And then they were like, he came down. He's like, you ready to do the read? And I was like, oh yep. And I'm like trying to like walk my way up the stairs. But it was like, it was, it was one of those things where I think deep down I kind of knew, but I'll be forever grateful for that experience because we did the read and then he told me that he essentially offered it to me right there, and he's incredibly kind, and so to have that experience and to really see this person who I love his movies, you know what I mean, I loved his movies growing up, so to be able to like have that experience and to meet this guy who's so like down to earth and just kind, and to like take the time to invite me to his place and to just talk to him, and for him to offer me the role like he did, was an experience I'll never forget. So I think that's one of my favorite stories of Mark.
Yeah, most definitely. I'd agree. I enjoy all his movies, which he's done over the years as well. And not many people, well, I don't know, about your age anyway, get to say I worked with Mark Wahlberg in a movie. How many people get to say that every day? Yeah. Kind of thing. So you're very lucky. One of the lucky guys. And I think this person's name is Alexis Kanda. Says hi, Reid. So a shout out to. So he says hi back. Just for to say, of course, you can leave your comments, and I've tried my best to pronounce your name and to give you a shout out as well for Alex for my guest Reid to respond to, of course. Of course, Lily enjoyed the story. She gave us a laughing emoji and a thumbs up, so she enjoyed the story. Speaking on the topic of Mark Wahlberg, then what advice or anything he said to you while you got to work with him on this great movie, which we'll talk a little bit more with you, which you can plug if you want to as well after that question.
Wait. Were you asking me?
Yeah. I think any advice or anything Mark Wahlberg gave you to you while you were working with him on the set or anything like that?
I'm so sorry. I got lost.
No, it's fine.
Best advice. I think the best advice he's ever given me would probably be. He said this to me relatively recently. He said, "It's always about the next thing."
Interesting. Which
doesn't sound like something profound, but in a way it kind of is, because he's absolutely right. I think it's really easy to get caught up in the one thing that's happening, when, especially in something like acting, the most important thing is the next thing. You know what I mean? It's like you got to keep going. And that's not always 1,000% completely, in your control. But I don't know. I found that very, very important, because I think it's easy to get caught up in, the one thing, when really it's like you need to like this one thing is done. It's great. It's going to come out. Time to go on to the next, and then the next, and then the next, and then the next. You know what I mean? So I would definitely say that was probably some of the best advice.
Yeah, cool. Some interesting advice, and again, you got to keep evolving. He evolves over time as well, so we wonder what you'll be evolving into once this film comes out to everyone to see. And I want to say as well, you've been in other shows as well. And so after this film, A Good Joe Bell comes out, or Good Bell Joe comes out in September. That is correct. Where will this be released to? Do you know?
I don't know a lot of that. All I know for certain is that it's going to be premiering at TIFF this September.
Like
I know it'll have
social media.
Yeah, it'll. I don't really have any of that information, but I'm sure over the next coming months that information will be coming out on like when it's officially going to be coming out. And it's such a weird time right now, with with COVID. And, you know, I think they're being very smart and extremely careful with when and how the film is
Yeah.
released. So I know whatever they do is going to be ultimately
Oh
for
yeah,
the best.
absolutely, absolutely. And
Yeah.
you've been a part of another film as well, a girl named Jo as well. Interesting series, haven't you as well? You've been in
Yeah.
that. How was that? Something
Hmm.
different for you as well.
Yeah, it was fun. It was, you know, I think A Girl Named Joe was it was one of those projects that, you know, it just sort of came my way, and I enjoyed the script, I enjoyed the character, and you know, I wanted to work with some of the people that were on board that
Mhm.
project, and you know, it was also a good opportunity to, you know, to boost my social media side as well, because at the time I didn't have a major fan base, and so I knew that, you know, being a part of that show would help me in many ways. So I decided to do it,
To
and
boost
you know,
your popularity as well, not just.
yeah, I mean, and that wasn't the
Oh
sole
no! Oh
reason.
no!
You know, like I said, I liked the script and I liked the people involved, and it was just, I think that was just a
Yes.
plus. And so it was like, yeah, it was like, why wouldn't I do this? Of course, like this person and this person is involved who I've wanted to work with for quite some time, and it's gonna do a lot of good for me just in my career. It's like, yeah, I need to do this. This would be great, and it was fun. It was a lot of fun. It was, you know, it was, you know, I'm not really new to TV. You know, I starred in a series for 3 seasons called Play by Play that I was the lead in. So it wasn't, you know, it wasn't really new territory. But it was new territory in the sense that I had never really done anything specifically for YouTube. So, you know, it was originally just a YouTube show because Brat is a YouTube channel, and you know, they're a very dominant YouTube channel. But now it's on. I think it's on Amazon
Yep.
Prime.
Correct.
I
Correct.
believe you can go check it out there now. Yeah.
Not just in America,
Um,
over here as well. Amazon Prime over here. So if you've not checked it out, please do check it out on Amazon Prime. All you need is a subscription to tune in to watch it on there. Check it out and see my guest here, Reid, in action. So yeah, check it out today. A Girl Named Jo. If you're not really seeing it, only season 1. Do you think there might be a season 2, maybe sometime?
there's a season 1. There's 3 seasons
Right. Okay.
altogether. I don't know if 2 and 3 are
No,
on
only one of them
Amazon.
are.
I haven't looked. I know they're on YouTube, but yeah, well, and I wasn't able to complete season 3. I had to. They had to shorten my character because at the time I was about to leave for to go shoot Good Joe Bell. So it was like, you know, I wanted to do both. Like I wanted to finish out the show because I had been a part of it for so long, and it was like, you know, I owe it to my character and I owe it to the fans of the show to, you know, to finish out this character's story. So, you know, they were very gracious, and you know, they were able to, you know, sort of write me out in a way that I thought was very justified, and they were very accommodating, which was great.
That's good to hear. And now the interesting thing is, you've been in 2 movies now, which have been named a part of the title Joe, either spelled, you know, J-O, or you know, or even Joe-O-E kind of thing. So it's quite interesting how you picked 2 films with the same name in them. So that's very bizarre how that's happened.
I know, and I guarantee you it won't be the last time.
I'm sure not.
I'm gonna star in another movie where maybe Joe's not in the title, but I play a Joe. I mean, you never. I mean, honestly, you never know these days.
You never know, and we have another question for you as well. It's just coming from Alex. It says, "How did you get into both roles of the person you played on Good Joe Bell and A Girl Named Jo?" Very confusing names and a tongue twister. As in, what did you do to get into the characters or character? Good question, I think.
So I mean, I'll start with the easier one.
Go ahead.
A Well, a girl named Joe. I mean, it wasn't like this crazy like, ooh, I gotta get moody. It was just like the character is a very, I guess, damaged person. Like he's very edgy. He's got problems with his father, problems with his family. He's a loner, and I mean, I don't have any problems with my family. I'm very lucky to have a very loving and supportive family. But I mean, for me, I think like everyone has a little bit of a dark side, or has that part of themselves that's a little more reserved and quiet and a little more intense, and that's really just what I focused on, and focused on going to that part of myself, because I've had phases of my life where I've been emo or whatever. I mean, like anyone growing up, you know what I mean? So it wasn't this crazy thing that I had to really like dive into. It was just more of going back to that place that I used to be. But I think for something like, Good Joe Bell was very different. Again, without saying too much, it was one of those things where there's a huge difference between playing a fictional character and a person who lived and breathed. And for me, when I joined the project, I knew that this was the most important thing I've ever done up to this point. And I took it with the utmost respect, and like knowing I'm like, if I do this, I have to go all in or not at all. You know what I mean? And I knew I had to go all in. And, without getting into the story, it was incredibly hard. It was incredibly difficult, being in this dark place for so long. And it was, one of those things where I was very lucky that I had my mom with me, on set, on vacation, because it was just, for me, doing that type of role, dealing with the subject matter that it deals with, I wasn't extremely comfortable being there without someone to support me, just because and of course everyone on set, and after the film comes out I can talk more about this, but everyone on set was so supportive. It was like, if you're feeling anything, if you're going through anything, if you're struggling, you can come talk to me. That was literally everyone on set. And that was great, because it was very difficult. It was like, this may not seem like a big deal, but like getting your hair cut and dyed to such an extreme level, it's like when you look in the mirror, you're the character that you're playing. Yeah. You know what I mean? So it was like, I never really escaped that whole shoot. And it was extremely hard, but extremely rewarding. And I don't think I realized like how I don't know, how intense that whole process was until after filming. I was in such a zone during the production that it wasn't until after, when I got my hair dyed back and I came back home and I was sort of returning to normal, that it was like, man, like, it kind of showed me some of the things that I need to deal with, like mentally and emotionally. It was almost like in a weird way, like a therapy session. You know what I mean? And it showed me all these things about me that I needed to work on and get right. So that was a completely different experience. Diving into this real person's shoes for a month, 2 months was, it was absolutely insane. You know what I mean?
But I bet it was well worth it in the end, though, of course.
Absolutely. 1,000%. I would do it all over again. It was the best experience I've ever had on a set. I just mean, getting in that character, it was definitely one of the harder things I've had to do, acting-wise.
Well, it also helps you for bigger and better roles as well in the future as well. So with all the experience, sure, it all helps you to mold you in the long term. So it's all good experience.
Absolutely, all good stuff.
Yeah, most definitely. I have to say as well, I want to know which actors or actor you inspire, who inspired you in the industry right now.
That's a good question.
Thank you. You only get the good questions here.
Can I choose three people?
Yeah, you can choose as many people you like.
I'd say my top pick is Tom Cruise.
Of course.
Because he does the types of films that I want to do. I do stunts. I'm a martial artist. I love action. So definitely Tom Cruise, I would say. I would say my second choice in more acting choice would be Leonardo DiCaprio. I love Leo. Who doesn't? I loved Once Upon a Time in Hollywood so much. Such a fun movie. And then I would say my third choice. I had a third choice. Oh, Robert Downey Jr., I would say.
Interesting picks, I like all them three picks, actually. I do. All different genres as well, kind of thing as well, so it's all good.
Yeah, I love Robert Downey Jr. He's very inspirational. I mean, his journey is pretty insane. You know what I mean? I mean, he went to jail. I mean, everything he's been through, and then the fact that he came out of that and then was a part of one of the, if not the biggest film franchises on the planet. You know what I mean? I mean, it's pretty cool.
It's pretty cool, and hopefully you get to do some of these great movies such as those guys have done in the past, because I think you'd be quite good in these in the action movies, doing your own stunts, doing some karate or whatever on people, kicking people's asses on the set. It'd be hilarious to see, because you never know what may happen. I have to say as well, with these chats and with all the conversation you've given us so far, these are some interesting stories you only get to hear from Reid himself. Some of your stories you probably never even told before till now. So there you go. But I mean, so these, those three actors you just said. So means we learn about the genres like action, some romance in there as well, and some sort of some badass genres, kind of thing. And is there a particular genre you would like to do more of, or do you do a variety of different genres / roles?
I think I love all genres. I'm sure at some point in my life I'm going to end up doing a rom-com. I'm sure at some point in my life I'm going to end up, doing another super intense drama like a Joe Bell, or doing a raunchy comedy like 21 Jump Street. But I think, again, like I was saying, I think my biggest goal is to do action. You know what I mean? Not be a stunt guy, but I mean, be an action star like Tom Cruise or any of the guys at Marvel. You know what I mean? My goal is to do action films with a purpose. You know what I mean? I actually wrote, directed, and starred in my own action pilot called Jaeger that I'm going to be releasing later this year. And it's, I made that as a starring vehicle for myself to show that I can do it, because you at first glance you don't think action star, but sometimes you got to go after it and make it happen yourself. And I filmed this in 2018, and it's just I if it was up to me, this would have been released earlier this year in January, but then COVID hit. And, I wanted it to do a festival run. I wanted it to be seen by more people. So I'm unfortunately waiting to, pull the trigger on that. But I feel like things are starting to get better. So hopefully, we all keep moving in a positive direction, and then I'll be able to release it sometime this year.
Yeah, absolutely. Of course, we look forward to that. It means stay tuned to our social media. And speaking about social media, please tell my viewers who may be either watching this or have it on in the background and maybe listening to this while we're talking, where they can find you on social media. Because throughout this chat, as I call it here, I've been having your social media pop up with your lower third here over on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. But for anyone who may not know where they can find you, who may be new to us this evening, where can they find you on social media?
So on Instagram, my Instagram is the real Reid Miller, and that's all lowercase and Reid spelled R-E-I-D. That's the real Reid Miller. Twitter, I also believe is that, but honestly, now that you mentioned that,
I can tell you. It's actually the Reid Miller without the real bit.
Okay, the Reid. Okay, cool. Yeah, I don't use Twitter very much, but I mean, if you're hoping to get in touch with me or you want to see my most up-to-date stuff, Instagram is where to be. I do have a YouTube, just Reid Miller, where I posted some of my shorts, some stuff I've directed, little clips on there as well, so you can go check out some of that stuff there as well. But yeah, I would say Instagram is my predominant social media, but I also do have a Facebook, just Reid Miller. You can go check out my page there too. And, that's where all the updates are going to be. Instagram and Facebook for Digital Bell and anything that I do.
And make sure you do like him and follow him on those platforms, and make sure you share his content with all your friends to help to grow his fan base. That's why I got him on this show, because to help him to grow his fan base within the UK, I'm the best kept secret here on YouTube, as we call it here on the Edward Fowler Show. And, we have to say as well, because you've got a big following on Instagram, so hopefully that following can help you to grow on Facebook as well, and on your YouTube as well. So we need to check him out on YouTube and Facebook and Instagram right now. Do it now. Show him around right now as we speak here. I
also have, I want to plug one thing, if that's okay. I have a short film on Amazon Prime I'd love for you guys to check out called Flicker, and that's Flikker. It's free if you have Prime, but it's my first short I ever wrote, directed, and starred in. It's now I made it in 2017. It's something I'm really proud of, so be sure to check that out too.
Yes, there you go. Support him right now. Go on Amazon Prime and check out everything to do with Reid Miller on Amazon Prime right now. The place to be. The place to be. Let's talk about what else you do outside of acting. Because of course you must do. You can't just act all the time. You must do other things to keep your mind from going insane. Kind of thing.
Especially right now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So what else do you get up to in your spare time? That maybe many of your fans might not know about.
Well, I mean, I'll start out with something I think a lot of people do know. I mean, I'm a writer, so I write all the time.
Is there anything you don't do? You're like a track of all trades.
What do I not do? I'm not a physicist. I don't, and I'm not a mathematician. So those are some things that I don't do. But no, I would say I'm a writer. I love writing. I write predominantly screenplays. I want to get more into comic books as well. I think I've always loved comic books. I've found that really interesting. So, I'm kind of trying to get into that too. What else? I'm a martial artist. Like I've said, I train and I practice every day. And what else do I do? I'm not that interested.
No, you are. Believe me, you are. You're more interesting than you think.
I don't do too much. Like I'm pretty simple. Like when I'm not working, which is predominantly what I'm doing, I'm with a friend or I'm watching TV. I like to watch movies that I aspire to be in. That's like one of my biggest things that I tell young actors, or if someone asks me what should I do to be preparing for a role, or do you have any acting advice? And I always say, watch the movies you want to be in. Study the actors that you want to model yourself after. So that's also what I do a lot of the time, is I'll be watching films that I want to be in, and like watching films that Robert Downey Jr.'s in, or Tom Cruise is in, or Leonardo DiCaprio's in, or Brad Pitt's in, whatever, and really, just envisioning what my goal is, so that I'm steadily moving towards that.
That's good. That's good to hear. And would that be your go-to advice then for anyone who may come up to you and anything like that? Like is that your go-to advice to any young actor, or any actor actually who may want to maybe improve on themselves, or how to get some more exciting roles and such? If that makes sense.
Right. I think it makes perfect sense. I think I have a few things of advice. The first thing is, and this is going to sound incredibly cheesy, but I mean it's so true. It's to not give up. And I know that sounds cheesy, but in the acting world, 9 times out of 10 is you getting told no. You know what I mean? It's like it's rare. Well, not rare, but rarer, I think, to get yes. You know what I mean? It's like a lot of the times it's you're too short, or your eyes are too blue, or you look too young, or whatever. You know what I mean? Like it's hard to it's when you get a job, it really is like right time, right moment. I mean, it's like that perfect timing, you know what I mean? So my first thing would be to not give up, because I mean, you could go on 100 auditions and get told no, and then boom, you get one that you don't think too much about and you get it. You know what I mean? It's so unpredictable, and that's why I say don't give up, because you really never know when your moment's going to come. It could be today, it could be tomorrow, it could be in a week. And you always got to be ready for when that moment comes. My second piece of advice is make your own stuff. I mean, I say this a lot, and I always hear this excuse of, well, I don't have a good camera, or I don't have the equipment, and it's like, you do. You have it right here. You know what I mean? Like, people, like, if someone made a feature film on an iPhone and it went to Sundance, you know what I mean? Like, the only thing holding you back is your fear. You know what I mean? It's like, you got to make your own stuff. Make the things you want to be in. And when I say that, of course, within the realm of possibility, don't write a 200-page script that's going to cost you, $4 million to make. But start small. Make stuff you want to act in that you want people to see, that side of you. If you want to be the rom-com guy, write a short scene that's a rom-com, you know what I mean, and shoot it on your phone, or shoot it on a friend's camera if you don't have one. Like, I'd say that'd be my second piece of advice. And again, my third piece, like I already said, is, watch the stuff you would want to be in, that you picture yourself in.
Yeah, well, as I agree with Lily, who's wrote here, awesome advice. I agree. Those three of advices you've given us here this evening / morning where you are is very good advice, and I hope that helps anybody out, maybe listening to this thinking I want to get into acting, and now some advice which has come from somebody who's probably had that advice told to him, or he's learned that advice over the time of him being an actor in this industry over the past few years as well. And another thing I want to know as well is, like, is there a particular actor or actress, or even a particular movie franchise you would love to be a part of in the future with?
I mean, this is what I always say, because it's the truth. If I could be a part of any franchise, it would be Marvel, 1000%. Yes.
And I know you also like, you like the Marvel movies, of course you do. And like, is there a particular Marvel movie you want to be involved with, or any? Doesn't really matter what kind of movie it is, as long as it's got Marvel involved with it, you're all in.
Yeah, as long as Marvel's doing it, man. Like, I mean, whatever they need, whatever they want me for, man, I'm there. I am not picky. It's one of those things where, Marvel's been my greatest inspiration growing up. And it's like, whenever they're ready, you just call me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, for whatever role. I mean, like, I'll do whatever. I mean, there's so many opportunities and possibilities, especially now, you know what I mean, with what Marvel's doing, with what even DC's doing. I mean, Marvel's got, the Avengers are done, but now they're doing Young Avengers with teenagers and focusing on the kids of the Avengers. I mean, they're doing so much. So for me, it's like, fingers crossed, hopefully Good Joe Bell comes out and I'm on someone's radar that could make that happen. Or, you know what? I mean, I love DC too. Like, for me, it's like I love DC. Oh yeah, I love DC. I think one of my most anticipated superhero movies coming up is Robert Pattinson's Batman. So, I mean, I would love to be a part of that. I would love to be a part of any superhero franchise. I mean, if I get to wear a cape, I think I'm good.
There we go. You're here first. Here, cape or any Marvel film he's in, DC or Marvel, any one of them. He's not bothered. So pick up the phone. If you're watching this from Marvel or DC, pick up the phone to Reid Miller today and get him involved. Get him involved today.
Get me going, man.
Yeah, give him a call. Give his manager a call today, and get him involved. So let's talk about it. So do you of course most people will probably like this, but I mean, are you also big into music as well? That listen to a lot of music.
I mean, I listen to music, but I'm not like a music producer. Like, I don't write music.
Not yet.
But like for me, I definitely like. I'm kind of weird. Like, music that I like isn't something a lot of people like. Like, I like soundtracks to movies, like actual orchestral, like the scores of movies, like Mad Max or Godzilla or like Avenger. Like, I love that stuff, and that's the stuff I listen to predominantly, like when I'm writing, because it gives me inspiration. But yeah, no, I like music. I like rap. Weirdly, I love rap. I like and I like comedic music. You know what I mean? Like music written by comedians that's like is intended to be funny. I'm not super into the music coming out like now or the past few years personally. I'm not really into pop or like TikTok music or like any of that.
Yeah.
But I, like I said, like I like rap. I like orchestral scores, and I would say that's kind of my music taste.
Fair enough. There we go. Hopefully you learned something new here this evening. Anyway, from Reid Miller. If you haven't already, then you have. Make sure as well. If you're watching this live, make sure you give it a like on YouTube. Make sure you share it around to all your friends as well, and leave a comment in the comment section below. To let me know you enjoyed this video and how we can improve this for my next guest, as it could be 3 minutes into this interview. I think I got an email from another actor, so
that's great.
It's amazing.
You're popping off, man.
It is popping off, and it all started with Reid Miller here. Of course, we do have another question, but we may have already answered this question early on in the show. This is coming in from Gasoline Productions, if that's pronounced it correctly. Okay. What's your favorite character from a movie or show?
Ooh, that's a good one. Favorite character?
Yeah.
It's a good question, because I don't want to pick another superhero, but I probably.
So you can if you want to.
Spoiler alert! It's probably going to be a character from a. I would say my favorite character would either be, Iron Man, Tony Stark, or Christian Bale's Batman in the Dark Knight trilogy.
Good choices.
Would probably be one of those guys. Those are probably two of my favorites. Yeah.
Well, hopefully we can relate to that, and hopefully Gasoline Productions. Hopefully you can relate to the answer you received there. Thank you so much for that question. So, of course, we won't mention it before we do wrap this up because it's coming on to an hour almost here on the Fowler Show.
Sure.
I want to know, hopefully, again, when COVID, when lockdown, when restrictions ease up over there in the US, hopefully soon. We hope to see you in the UK sometime soon for maybe a premiere or even filming a scene for a new movie which you may be in. So hopefully we get to see you over here because I don't think...
Absolutely. I've always wanted to check out the UK. I mean, I want to travel. You know, there's a lot of places I want to check out, and that's definitely on the list. So hopefully I get to go over there when everything cools down.
Fingers crossed to you. And hopefully, if you do come over here someday soon, hopefully we can have an interview in person.
Absolutely.
In person.
Absolutely.
That'd be interesting. And I've done that before. So, yeah, so I'm going to put it out in person. So if you're ever near Manchester, then reach out to me and we will have you back on the show here over in the UK. Or if I'm ever in, I'm guessing you're in Los Angeles right now at 10 a.m. Ish, West Coast time. So if I'm ever in LA in the future, I'll make sure to let you know and see if we can do something in person over there.
Man. For sure.
As well. Yeah. But one last question I do have for you this evening, though, this morning, all the time is, who would you suggest me to contact next to come on the show to follow Reid Miller here this evening? I think it's always a tough question for my guests, but I love giving it to them.
Who has suggested? I would say...
Okay, a lot of people have to think about it.
Yeah, I'm trying to think, because who's popping into my head right now? I think, the guy who played my younger brother in Good Joe Bell, Maxwell Ross. Okay. Maxwell Jenkins.
Maxwell Ross, yeah, that might be his nickname. His nickname now. I'm under calling that.
Max. Yeah, Max is a great kid. He's so down to earth and just such like a kind soul. And it's funny because he's a lot younger than me, but I mean, he acts like he's older than me. But it was funny, when me and him were on location, we both, he saw Avengers Endgame with me. But yeah, Maxwell Jenkins. I would nominate him next.
I like that. Nominating. Yes, it's great. Good choice of words.
Yeah, he's a good kid.
I like that. But I mean, you're down to earth as well, I have to say, kind of thing. So.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, I think you're down to earth as well, and I think people can relate to you as well. From hearing your conversation and your discussions here this evening, I think many people can relate to you as a bit more, hopefully. That's what I got out of the conversation. I hope you people tuning in got the same out of conversation. I want to know as well, kind of thing, what's going to be next for you then after Good Joe Bell comes out in September? What's going to be next for you? Any ideas yet, or are you still thinking of maybe?
I actually, there is a film that I shot in January. We were very, very, very fortunate to wrap before COVID hit. I mean, that was like by the skin of our teeth. You know what I mean? Like a week after we wrapped, LA went under lockdown. I mean, it was kind of spooky timing. But it's called Who Are You People? Which again, I can't talk too much about either, but it's a very different role for me. And I think people are going to get a kick out of it. It's a very, very, very different role. It's like, Alan is edgy. This kid makes Alan look like he's in middle school. You know what I mean? Like this kid he's intense. It's fun. It was a cool role. It was a fun role to do. Got to work with some people that I'd worked with in the past. And I think if you Google Who Are You People, you'll see it on Deadline. You can do some more research there. But that was a super fun project. That'll be coming out. I mean, I don't know when, but sometime in the next year or so. I do believe Good Joe Bell will probably be coming out before that. just because I think it's closer to completion, but I'm not totally
well,
sure.
According to the internet, because sometimes you can't trust, it says September initial release, so who knows? But again, stick to the social media of Reid Miller, because of course he will keep you up to date when it gets released as well. So make sure you do find him on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. The only difference is Instagram is at the real Reid Miller. Twitter, the Reid Miller, and Facebook is just called Reid Miller. So it gets simpler from the for each platform. Instagram is the most complicated. Twitter not as complicated, and then Facebook, simple. I like.
Yeah,
I like how you
do. You gotta know that it's. Yeah, you gotta know I'm the real one on Instagram.
Yeah, because somebody's pins your username. Because when I tried to tag you yesterday in the post. When I typed your name in it tagged the other one. I'm thinking, who's this guy? So I had to
I know, it's like, who's that? I know, it's that's why it has to be a little longer, because it's like, there are a lot of like fan accounts and things like that. So it's like, you got to be careful. So I was like, all right, I'm just going to go with the long name, I guess.
Well, we got there in the end. And again, we thank you so much to Reid Miller for letting his time this morning on the West Coast, because it's just approached 11 a.m. on the West Coast, 7 p.m. here in the UK, and this is the evening show, hence we've got this lovely evening background of somewhere in Las Vegas, Nevada. Again, we couldn't get a UK one because of there's not many out there. This is just like a picture. They're like motion backgrounds, but there you go. I hope everyone who wrote in this evening got the answers they wanted here, and if you didn't, then contact Reid Miller on Facebook or Instagram to ask him your questions. Leave a comment in the comment section below of your questions as well, and when we bring him back on again, which would be probably hopefully next year, if you would like to go back on there next year.
Sure. Great. After my films come out, that'd be great.
Hopefully next year.
Then we can get into the nitty-gritty that I couldn't get into today.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we can talk more about Good Joe Bell and any other movie you'd release or be in over the next few months, hopefully. We will bring you back on again next year. We will organise that, most definitely. And again, make sure to like the video here on YouTube. Share it to all your friends who may want to know more about who Reid Miller is. If you've ever heard of him tonight, you have now a whole hour of Reid Miller. Leave a comment in the comment section below to let me know how you thought of the show tonight. Did you enjoy the show? Any suggestions you want to give to me of how I can improve the show? Leave them all in the comments section below. Make sure you subscribe with notifications on, means you're always notified to a brand new episode, because we don't know who may come on the show next. Again, it's unpredictable, it's uncensored, unedited, and without any scripts. This is an off-the-cuff conversation with your questions answered to my guests who I bring on this show. And until the next episode drops, enjoy the rest of your Thursday evening or morning, depending where you are.